Welcome to TFE Talks, Navigating Wealth, Business, and Legacy, the podcast from Thomas Fisher and Edwards. Each episode, our attorneys bring you expert insight on estate planning, business strategy, and legacy building, breaking down complex topics into clear, actionable advice. Whether you're solidifying a strategy we've discussed or preparing for what's next, this podcast is your resource for thoughtful, practical planning. You ready? Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to another edition of TFE Talks. I'm your host, Jordan Goewey, and I'm joined today by a new attorney here at the firm, Maisie Greene. Maisie, nice to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Jordan. It's really nice to be here.
So, Maisie, you joined the firm, I think, back in September or October. You've been with us for a few months now, and we've really enjoyed having you around. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of your background? Where are you from? Where did you go to school? And what brought you here?
Yeah, so I've had a little bit of a journey, mostly on the east side of the country. I grew up in the Chicago suburbs in a small town called Wayne, but it's near Wheaton, which is more well known. And then I went to undergrad at Wake Forest University in North Carolina in Winston-Salem. I majored in politics and history there and loved my time at Wake Forest. And that's where I met my husband, who's from Richmond, Virginia. And as we were nearing graduation, I knew I wanted to go to law school, and he was looking at some seminaries. And we ended up going to St. Louis, Missouri for the last 5 years, where I was in law school there for 3 years at WashU in St. Louis. And then my husband was in seminary. So after I graduated from 3 years of law school, I worked for 2 years in St. Louis at a larger firm there doing estate planning and business law, exactly what I do here now.
Just to reiterate a couple of points that you mentioned there that listeners may not be aware of, but one, you went to Washington University of St. Louis, which is a fantastic school. I think it's by pretty much all accounts a top 14 law school in the country. So you're probably our highest credentialed attorney at the firm when it comes to the law school that you attended. So that certainly is something that we were excited to see when we received your resume. And also you practiced at a fairly large firm there in St. Louis, which is a bigger city. And so we look forward to the expertise and just sort of the different experience and perspective that you have been able to and will continue to be able to provide to our firm.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a wonderful experience in St. Louis. We loved our time there, and it was great to work at a big firm because I got exposure to so many different things. And we didn't just do estate planning, and I was kind of similar to what Thomas Fisher and Edwards does. Here we have summer interns, and I was an intern there for the summer after my second year in law school. And I worked on a bunch of different projects. And so it's been great. I've had a good variety of experience across a lot of areas of law, which I think just only helps estate planners. You know, a lot of the clients we're working with, they're business owners or they're involved in their communities in all these other ways. And so being familiar with a lot of different areas of law, I think makes my estate planning practice more, I can better relate to clients, which is great, more versatile. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely. What specifically brought you to the upstate after having that background in Chicago and then in St. Louis? What brought you to this part of the country? And I should go ahead and mention at this point that you actually work primarily out of our Spartanburg office, which is a new office that we just opened here at the start of the year. And so what brought you to the upstate and specifically to Spartanburg?
Yes. Well, it was very exciting. So like I said, my husband was in seminary in St. Louis at Covenant Seminary, and he worked there, or he was in school for about 5 years and also worked with a campus ministry at WashU for a few years. So he knew he wanted to do campus ministry with an organization called RUF, which is Reformed University Fellowship. It's a Presbyterian ministry on college campuses across the country. So we honestly didn't know where we were going to end up, but when we put in our application, they mentioned that Wofford College was open and they were looking to hire someone, and it was close to a lot of our friends from Wake Forest, Coleman's from Virginia, and then my parents have a house on Kiowa Island on the coast of Charleston, so we're already down here a good bit, and so we were like, this kind of feels perfect, great fit. And then we came and visited Spartanburg and just loved the city. We loved the size and we love the community here. When we visited, we could tell it was a really strong community, especially with the Wofford connection and the church that we go to here and visited. So it was honestly a pretty easy decision once we came and visited. And then I started looking at law firms in both Spartanburg and Greenville. And when I interviewed with Thomas Fisher and Edwards, it was just so apparent to me the excellence here and the excellence of the attorneys, the commitment to learning and growing, and also just the detailed oriented nature of the firm. And I can talk about that more later, but it's just been a great fit. And now that we have this Spartanburg office, it's just been, just amazing to be able to work in the community that I live in and be a part of it, especially in conjunction with what Coleman's doing, my husband, at Wofford. It just feels like we're really able to invest in the community here. And when we were looking at moving here, that was something that was really important to us. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a proud graduate of Wofford College,
Yes.
and so I was certainly happy to hear that Coleman was taking that job when I first met you and learned that y'all were moving to this community. And so if no one has already done it, then I certainly recognize you as an honorary terrier in my mind. And
I appreciate that.
and that means a lot, and it's always good to have other terriers around here at the firm. And so you started to touch on it some there, but once you decided that you were moving here to South Carolina, to the upstate, and specifically to Spartanburg, what in particular attracted you to Thomas Fisher and Edwards?
Yeah, well, I really, really like the size, and I like that we're committed to being excellent at estate planning and business planning. That, to me, is just really awesome because you're able to get into a niche and you're able to do it really, really well. And it was clear when I interviewed with you and the other partners at our firm that you guys have been building a firm for many years and you're committed to training younger attorneys and especially younger staff. I think that is one thing that stood out to me is the staff are just amazing and they're clearly committed to the firm. They're very good at what they do, and so are all of the attorneys. So that was probably the main thing that stood out to me. And then also a lot of your processes at the firm, just how clear and detail-oriented they are and how committed to the clients that you guys are. And that has just proven to be more and more true the longer I've been here. And even as I'm working with my own clients, I feel proud to bring them to this firm and proud to bring them through the processes we have here. And that's just been, I just feel like that's just taken off and I've really enjoyed that. And everyone's fun to work with and really enjoyable to be around. Everyone is a team player. And when I walked into your firm and interview with you, it was clear from the start that was how it was going to be. And I'm really glad that is how it's turned out to be.
Yeah, it's certainly a team approach. Attorneys, non-attorneys within the firm, we all have to work together in order to get work done. And ultimately, we're all just working for the client. We're all just working to try to get as much done as we can for the client. And you've been a huge help and a huge part of the team in your short time here thus far. If we kind of zoom out a little bit, what attracted you to estate planning and business law in general? And what would you say is one of your favorite parts of your job in this field?
Yeah, that's easy. My favorite part is meeting with clients. I think that most estate planners would say that that's the reason we do what we do, is to get to be in the room with families and other advisors, whether it's a CPA or a financial advisor or financial planner, and get to work with the families and help them create a plan that is lasting for generations and especially works for their family situation. I mean, every single family that comes into our office is different. And I love that we can be technical experts on the law and then we can mold that and make it work for whatever client is sitting with us in our conference. So I think what initially got me into estate planning is just that service-oriented nature of estate planning. I think a lot of areas of law are really awesome, and I got exposure to a lot of them, but sometimes it's hard to see the direct impact or the direct benefit you're having. Whereas with estate planning, you see that direct benefit almost immediately when you meet with the clients, and you see that they might not understand what these documents are, and then once you explain it, they realize how much they do need it and how important it can be and how much it can help really in a time of crisis. And that's to me just pays off, especially over the years when you get to start to work with clients for many years, and you guys have those clients here at the firm, which is really cool to see. So I think the longevity of your career in estate planning is what attracted me. Also, with local businesses, there's been a lot of opportunities to serve the Spartanburg market and to serve the people here, because that is what Spartanburg is. It's a local community that's growing a lot. So it's been a privilege to already get to be a part of that. I've been really honored that everyone has been so welcoming, and so happy that we're here and able to serve this market.
Absolutely, and we're all as a firm excited to serve that market. I'm spending some time over there in Spartanburg. Other attorneys in our firm are spending time over there in Spartanburg. But you live there, and you're going to be there essentially all the time. And so for that reason, I'm really excited to see the connections that you're able to make and the people that you're able to help in that community. And so we're going to shift to something that's a little fun and lighthearted. I did this with our other young associates last year, Ben Ferris and Mira Prisco. So we're going to do a quick lightning round. So if you can try to just give brief answers to these questions. What would you say is your favorite restaurant? And just because you've been in some different locations, if you want to give one from your past and then maybe one in the Spartanburg community, feel free to.
Yeah, well, I think the first one that comes to mind is really in Spartanburg, actually, is the Blue Moon Bodega. I love it. It's also really a central part of the community here, which is really cool. And we went to lunch the other day, you and I, Jordan, and we saw a ton of people. I think every time I go there, I see someone I know. They've got great lunch and dinner, and it's just been a fun place to get to know people and get to be a part of the community. And they've even helped out Coleman with some fundraising events that we've done, and they're just great to work with. So that's been really fun, a fun part of Spartanburg. So that's my favorite restaurant.
Absolutely. What is your coffee order of choice?
Yeah, I'm a little bit boring. I just do black coffee. Over the years, I've just decided that's my favorite, nothing in it. Although, when I have like a rainy day or something, I'll get a chai from Starbucks. I like those.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm a black coffee person as well. That's the fuel that keeps us going, and so
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yep.
Are you a fan of books or podcasts? And don't be intimidated based on the fact that we are on a podcast as we answer this.
I know. I have to admit, I have not really found many podcasts that I enjoy besides,
Other than this.
some news. I actually do listen to this podcast, and I've actually learned a lot. So I do listen to this on my drives to Greenville sometimes. But I do love to read books. I actually love murder mystery series. So I found one, ironically, that's called the Maisie Dobbs series. So I've been reading that. And then I also like Louise Penny's mystery books.
Okay. And when you're vacationing or taking some time away from the office, which we do believe in at our firm from time to time, are you a beach person or a mountain person?
I am a beach person. My husband is a mountain person, but yeah, I'm beach. And since my parents have a house on Kiwa Island, we've been going there, and that's been really nice.
Yeah, that's great. And the fortunate thing about the part of the state that you moved to here is we've got pretty good access to
Yep.
both. And so that's
Right.
a big selling point of the upstate at large. And so finally, Maisie, and you've already talked about this with some of your earlier answers, but I'm really excited to have you on the podcast because you're a new attorney at the firm, but also you are a crucial part of our expansion into the Spartanburg market, which again, we're all excited about. So what specifically excites you most about the Spartanburg market and our ability to help the estate planning and business community in Spartanburg?
Yeah, I think I did. I kind of touched on this a little bit before, but it's been really rewarding to work in the community that I'm living in, and for the community to be so close-knit, but yet so welcoming. You could see someone moving here and trying to start a practice and it be really closed off, but everyone has been super welcoming. And I feel like there is actually a need, and there's just so many people moving to Spartanburg. I think my whole street is mostly younger people, and Greenville's growing so much that it's expanding out to Spartanburg as well. And even if you just walk around the Spartanburg downtown, I've heard it's just exploded since the last few years. So it's really just exciting to be in a growing market. I think that's been really fun, and it's been fun to meet people and just see people around town. Like, I don't know. I just think that gives me a lot of energy. I just joined Women Giving for Spartanburg, and that's been wonderful to meet some women through that. And I think, Jordan, you and I are both going to join the Estate Planning Council of Spartanburg and get to know some other practitioners here and collaborate with them. So it's just been honestly so collaborative and exciting to get to meet people and meet clients here.
Yep, absolutely. And Maisie, thanks for joining me on the podcast today and letting everyone know about some of the exciting things that we have going on over there in Spartanburg, and just letting them get to know you a bit better, because we're certainly going to have you meeting with a ton of clients, and you're getting a ton of clients of your own over in Spartanburg and here in Greenville. And so we look forward to continuing to have you at the firm, continuing to grow the firm, and continuing to grow throughout the upstate as well. So thanks for joining me on the podcast to talk through those topics.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jordan. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I'm really excited about the future. Thanks for listening to TFE Talks. For more information, please visit our website at www.tfelawfirm.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram by clicking the links below in the show notes. If you have any questions about topics discussed in the episode, or you have recommendations for future topics, please email us at info@tfelawfirm.com. See you next time.